Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. When we, for the most part, we're closed on Sunday. Sunday is like our day. It's always been the day of rest for our family. It's always been, and when I first came back to the farm, my degree's in accounting, and then, hey, Caden, will you close that door outside for me? Please and thank you. When I first came back, I told my parents, look, Sunday, it's the second busiest day of the week. Like, this would be perfect for us to be open on Sunday. And my mom and dad laughed at me and they said, fine, you do it. And I started, I'm like, I can do this. Long story short, we were closed on Sundays. I was going to say they're two little kids. My 19-year-old's around the corner working. It's just the only day we can spend together as a family. So we do open for a couple Sundays, this being one of them, and we wanted to do something to kind of bring everybody out. So thank you for coming to this class. My degree's in accounting, but plants have always been my love. I started the first my mom had always made hanging baskets when I was a kid. But we sold a few and it was fun, it was a good thing. But I wanted to start a real nursery when I was in high school. And we put up the very first greenhouse when I was 18. And this year we just finished greenhouse number 23. So there is about 250,000 square feet of greenhouse space at Bauman Farms. And this, what you see up here is my favorite thing to do. I spend all year trying to find what's new, what's exciting, what's different, what is worth our time, what is not worth our time. And what you see up here is all of the things that I chose for this year that was worth our time, because there is just so many new plants each year. It's a lot to kind of go through all of them. It's my joy. It is one of my favorite things to do on the farm. And I wanted to share those with you. So, thank you for coming. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to start with petunias. Everyone always asks Chick. I knew she was going to steal the show. He was going to steal the show. Come on in, grab a seat. Petunias. There's lots of different types of petunias, thousands and thousands of petunias. And my goal is always to find the best color for that particular petunia. So I want the best red. I want the best purple, I want the best white, and I'm always looking, there's thousands of whites to choose from, so I'm trying to find the best one. Everyone always asks for wave petunias. Waves were the first kind of really big, flowing petunias. They're grown from seed, but they don't have the best colors in the series to me compared to some of the others. So all the petunias I'm going to talk about today are all trailing wave-type petunias. But to me, I found some new colors that I really enjoy and I really like. The first ones we're going to talk about are called Petchoas. Petchoa. So, Petchoas, weird name. They are a cross between a petunia and a calibrachoa. They actually come from seed, similar to like a wave petunia does. But what they found is that they can get some really amazing colors. This first one is called Mango Sunset. It is I don't know of any other petunia that's going to have that nice orangey yellow color. And that's where breeding it with calibrachoas, which are like the mini type petunias, really do well. Something to note about these though, they are more what I would consider upright mounding. So you can see from this basket here, it's growing up and it's going to mound down. Now, all of these plants are sterile. And why that's important is because they won't produce a viable seed, which means we do not need to spend our time picking off all the seed pods. You do not have to deadhead any of these plants. I don't have time to do it. You don't have time to do it. They're just going to bloom their little hearts out all summer. So Mango Sunset. And the second one is also in this basket. And this is called Premium Purple. And it's just a beautiful purple. I really love both of these. There's a whole series of them. Cinnamon is one that got introduced a couple years ago. But these are the two new colors this year. Both of them are exceptional. We have both of them available in the individual size and in our mixed baskets. When we get these, this is what I get in the mail. We can turn that off. This is what it looks like when it arrives to me. And these come in, they start about the first week of January and it runs to the end of March. We've got them all planted, and that's how I start them. Because remember, they're sterile. They don't produce a viable seed. So it's the little tips. That's what we start at the farm. And that's how we do all of them. So Petuas, Mango Sunset, Premium Purple, both excellent colors, upright, as much sun as you can give them. There's no such thing as too much sun for any of these. They want to be hot, hot, hot. Okay? Now, this next guy, or gal, it should be gender neutral. Yes, Carol? We'll love it. They'll have a great time with it. Big Deal Finger Paint, which is a very interesting name for a very interesting flower. I have never seen a flower like this. And it's super hard to make combinations with this flower, I've determined, because the white is not a true white. It's kind of an off ivory white. The purple is really nice, but I have really been struggling with what to put with it because it's such an unusual color. So in this particular one here, we've had this guy before. This is a potato vine called Red Hawk. And so to me, I was hoping that the two of those would work pretty well together. This guy is very vigorous. I would say it's probably going to grow about 5 to 6 feet for one plant. It will bloom nonstop all summer long. Again, the more sun, the better, but excellent, excellent petunia. I've never seen anything like this bloom. And it is day length neutral. What does that mean? Certain plants need a certain amount of daylight in order to bloom. This plant does not. So especially in our early spring where we don't get a lot of daylight, this helps a lot because it'll bloom. A lot of plants won't. But Big Deal Finger Paint, an excellent petunia. I think it's awesome. I really, each one of the flowers you can see on it are different. It's not the same pattern on each flower, so you get a nice variation. You do also notice it as the blossom ages, it fades. So you have kind of a really deep magenta purple, to me, fading to a darker purple as the blossom gets older. And by all means, when we're done here, you can come up and take a look. We have this available in 4-inch and in our basket combinations as well. It'll bloom all summer. Yes. In terms of the breeding, like how do they get it? So there is a whole industry, and that's all these people do, is cross different things. And it's difficult because it's sterile, right? It's not like you're taking the pollen from one plant and then pollinating it on another plant. So the lineage, so this eventually started from a plant that was producing seed. And they'll take the parents of this plant and they'll mix it with the parent of another plant. And they'll start putting them back and forth. I wish I knew more about it. I feel like I'm being kind of explaining this there. No, it's okay. It's a great question. But there's a whole group of people, and that's all they do is come up with new plants. When we talk about mixing petunias and calabricoas together, that's more like genes. Like they're taking the genes of one plant and putting it with the genes of another plant. I don't know if I would call it genetically modified, but they're doing that kind of stuff. The nice thing about them is what we end up in the market is all sterile. So it's not like the genetically modified grain that you hear about that's becoming invasive and mixing with other things. They're all sterile. It wouldn't affect another plant. But yeah, maybe we should have somebody come and do a class about that because it's really interesting. Yes, person that's hybridizing, yeah, and taking, and they'll do like 1,000 seedlings And then out of that 1,000, they'll say, this one's growing the best, this one's growing the best, and they'll take those two, and then they reproduce 1,000 again, and they're trying to pick the best ones that give all the resistance to disease and flower early versus later, all that kind of stuff. I have never seen a petunia this color in my life. This is called Deco Sorbet. And one of the interesting things about Deco Sorbet is it changes color based on temperature and day length. So right now you see it's a light pink. How would you guys describe that color? Salmon? Medium pink? It's a mix. It doesn't really fit into anything. As it warms up and it gets more light, it will get lighter in color. It'll lose the pink, and it becomes what I would call like a vintage color, like an off-white with a chocolate throat to it. And so as a plant, I love the fact that it changes throughout the season. So one plant will give you different colors throughout the year. It's beautiful. And if you notice, this one's big, so you notice how this is what I would call a strict trailer, in that it goes straight across the basket and straight down. It doesn't go up and mound like this guy does. So one of the things that I've never grown any of these before. This is my first year with them. So it's, when you're trying to pick which flowers go together in a basket, to me it's always really important to figure out how they grow. Because I personally don't like it when one plant's going crazy up the top and another person's going straight across the bottom. I want them all to kind of mix together nicely. To each their own. Some people like craziness. I'm not making any judgments here. I'm just telling you what I like. And to me, I want them all to really play nice together. So I'm going to try and, as I go through this, talk about each one. And if you have questions about, just raise your hand. Deco Sorbet. We have that available in baskets and 4-inch as well. I'm going to pass this around to the tables. You guys can look. This one I saw in the back of a trial greenhouse when I was up in Washington, and I'd never seen it before, and I had to really look to find it. I only have a few starts of this. It's called Double Vogue Lemon Berry. And I'm not always excited about double petunias. Most petunias are self-cleaning, we talked about, right? I don't want to spend time picking off the flowers. This flower is sterile as well. You don't have to pick off the flower, but the blossom is so thick and full that when it dies, it kind of leaves a little brown spot because it just doesn't wither away. So it would require you to pick some of the blossoms off. But the blossom is so beautiful that I had to get it. So I only have a few starts of this. I have a few more out back, but if you guys want to kind of pass them through the table and take a look, it's beautiful. I don't even know how it grows because you're seeing as much as I've ever seen of it. But it's brand new. I would assume next year there'll be more of them available, but I had to really hunt and find. So most of these plants come from Costa Rica, Guatemala, Nigeria, Ethiopia, every place that's much closer to the equator so they can grow them faster. The more light they have, the better. So that's, unfortunately, I'm not traveling to Ethiopia. Well, I don't know if I say fortunately. I don't really want to go to Ethiopia very but that's where I have to go find them. So I'm looking through catalogs and stuff from all those places. The next petunia here, the last one of the new ones, is called Funhouse. And looking at it, you kind of get a sense. It's just gorgeous. Again, you can see this one is more moundy. I didn't do a lot of baskets with it because I really didn't know how it was going to grow. And to me, I had to play with, I want to try and play with it before I do 1,000 of this combination to see if it's going to work or not. Beautiful flower. Again, it's going to bloom all summer, full sun. I have noticed that this one too, when it warms up outside, gets darker purple, and when it's cooler, there's more yellow. So it does change a little bit based on heat. And for those of you, how many of you have been to our hanging basket class in February? Several of you have. So for example, every year in February, I do a class where you can create your own basket. The down part about it is when we do that class, I don't have you baskets to actually show you, which is fun. But this basket is a custom basket. Somebody ordered this. I'm trying to see. Oh, I could look and figure out who it is. But it's a great opportunity for you to kind of get some of the first new plants. But this is something somebody ordered. I love to go through there and see all the different combinations that people put together, because I have a hard time getting outside of my own comfort zone sometimes. There are certain things that I like to do, and I have a hard time going outside of that. And having all of you come in and say, oh no, I'd put that with this, I do that. Sometimes they're amazing. Sometimes it's not for me, and that's okay. But it's a lot of fun. So these are all brand new petunias for 2022. So calabricoas are like the mini petunias. They will do fine with a half day of light. They want a half day, whether it's morning or afternoon. So if you have a covered porch or patio, calabricoas are the good choice for that. The birds love to come in here and make nests this time of the year, which is, you can hear the babies in the next window over. Yes. Since you're not removing the seed, it doesn't matter. So to me, it's more cosmetic. And so if it's getting leggy and it's starting to kind of look for the light, don't be afraid to go into the green and pinch it back. And that will get it to branch more and fill out better for you. All the calabricoas that you will find at Bauman Farms are sterile. You do not have to deadhead any of them. If it makes you feel better, go for it. Like, have at it. But we don't deadhead any of them. Yes, get them here. As a general rule, I won't pick any of them. Fuchsias, you're always going to have to. Fuchsias, you have to take those little seed pods off or they won't keep blooming. Also, typically, the cheaper varieties are the seed varieties because it's easier to grow them from seed than it is. So when you are getting like 6 packs of petunias, those are all seed petunias, and they'll have the seed pods. Anything that's a premium 4-inch, which is just one plant, usually one of the reasons why it's more expensive is because it's sterile and they have to take it from a cutting. They do something to it. Whether there's some sort of like treatment to the initial seed to make it not genetically viable going forward. And if you think about it, it's in their best interest. They don't want someone to copy their baby. Every time, so when I get a start, this costs me about 60 cents. So when I get it, it's 60 cents for this 2 leaves. Out of that 60 cents, 20 cents of it is going to the guy that made this flower. So the harder you make it to copy what you spent all these years doing, because he's getting 20 cents every time you buy these 2 leaves. Yeah. And I don't know the answer on how they do it, but I'd love to find out sometime. It's super easy to propagate, and it's technically not a big deal. Like homeowners can do it for their own use. It's more of a commercial, like we sign big licenses. There are people that are called the plant police, and they show up to our nursery. They can show up completely unannounced. They're here, and as part of my purchase agreement for all these, I've signed saying I'm open to inspection. And they will come and look through my entire greenhouses, and if they see me propagating these, and not the history of where I purchased it, they have a backpack of Roundup, and they will go through your entire greenhouse. And they have the absolute power to do that. Yes, Chick is not happy about it either. I get it. Like people spend a lot of time and money to make these plants. But it's a whole world of making sure. Absolutely, as homeowners, it's pretty easy. You can take a cutting and stick it in some soil and off it'll go. And the nice thing about that, it's genetically identical to the parent, which in seed you start to see colors change over time. Sure. So how many plants are in here? I usually this is a 12-inch basket. I put 5 plants in here. That's what I start with. If they're bigger 4-inch, you could get away with doing 4. That's fine. These get big. You could do 1. I'm just impatient. It will take, a couple months for it to get nice and big. I don't want to wait that long. So I'll put 4 in there. In these guys, I put 10. You could probably put 6 4-inch and be fine. This is an 18-inch basket here. So that's just a general rule on baskets. Yes? Questions about petunias? We doing good? Okay. Begonias. So a couple years ago, they started, there was a person that had a line of begonias that was scented, and they were heavenly. I love them. We've had these big plant companies have been taking those scented begonias and trying to change them so that it's easier for them to produce and you get some new colors and different things. This is their latest work. This is a begonia called Sentiment Peachy Keen. To be honest, I don't think it's very strong smelling. I think its parents had a better fragrance, but it's beautiful. It branches a lot, so you get a lot of flowers in a small spot. These are 2 of my favorite baskets this year. I think they're just stunning. It's done very, very well in our mixed combos. It will want full shade. Morning sun, okay. Afternoon sun, it burns. Ask me how I know. I'm finding out. Begonias, same story. These are sterile. They don't actually produce seeds. Same thing. I'm buying the little starts. This is what I get. I find with some of these, unlike some of the petunias, I pinch these every once in a while. They're getting leggy. They'll start spreading. I like to go in and nip them back. And when I'm buying a 4-inch plant at a nursery, I often am sometimes making sure that it's got multiple branches coming out. If you're trying to find a begonia on the table, that is one of the things I always look for. Because a lot of times begonias will put out these long leaders and they're very susceptible to breaking. It just takes a little bit of wind and it breaks and then all for naught. And I get grumpy. I don't have time for this. So that's really important to me with begonias. This particular one does a very good job of branching. Has good color. It does have, when we're done here, come on up and smell it. It does have a nice light fragrance. I put all of my eggs in one basket this year with this. I probably shouldn't have. I didn't grow the other scented ones that I have in the past because I was so excited about this one. And I do love it. I think it's great. I think I'm going to grow some of the other ones again next year, just because they had a stronger scent to them, which I really liked. But in terms of habit growth, it's really nice. It's a great begonia. Brand new. Was the All-American Award selection winner this last year. Their top plant for the year. The All-American Awards has trial gardens throughout the United States. And they trial all of these plants. And they pick one to be their favorite. And this was their favorite last year. And we have this in our mixed baskets, and we also have 4-inch of it available. I actually have been super, I love this begonia. This is called Lemon Berry. Also another new begonia for us this year. It's a trailing begonia. I just think the pink petals with the white and then the yellow center is very striking. In a shade garden, I like lighter colors. I think the lighter the color in the shade, the brighter it looks and brightens up the garden. This loves the shade. Yes. Full dark shade, morning sun okay, but not afternoon sun. Begonias I find like to be moist. They don't like to dry out, but if you keep them too moist, they will rot off sometimes. So it's important to let them kind of get as close as you can to drying out and then water them again really quickly. Because if you let them go too long, they're not happy. This is impatient. This one is called salmon, Magnum salmon. And it's gorgeous, loves the shade. There's so many different types of impatiens anymore. It's hard to pick and choose. Magnums have really big blossoms, which is why I like to use them in my baskets. Sun patients we carry a lot more in 4-inch just because they can be used in the full sun to full shade. I just think they're more versatile and I only have so much room on a table, so we do both of them. But this is called Magnum Salmon. Really pretty. This coleus actually was new last year. This is called Great Falls Angel. And it's, I love trailing coleus. I think it is so great for combinations. We have some of this up front as well. Anybody have questions about growing begonias? I didn't talk about fertilizer on petunias, and I should have. We fertilize right now. I'm fertilizing every single day because it's Mother's Day week, and I need them to be like beautiful right now. It is my point in telling you is that not for you to fertilize every day, but it's hard to over fertilize a petunia. They want lots of fertilizer. At my house at home, I do it once a week. Sunday, when I'm closed, usually, is like my day at home to do my fertilizing. And once a week is generally okay. If I see that they're turning lighter green or they're maybe not growing as much as, I will either double up my fertilizer, I'll do it in the morning and the afternoon, or I'll try and sneak out of here one day, don't tell my mom, to do it during the week again. Mom is like, Easter weekend, she's like, oh, come over, we're gonna spend all day together. I'm like, no, I saw you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is my day not to see you. But she's, it's Easter, you gotta come. And we do, we have a fun Easter egg hunt every year, and we did that. But I said, Mom, it's 2:00, see you later. Yes, Mother's Day, same way. And I will spend all day Mother's Day with her because we're gonna be working together all day. But it's fun. But we get to spend lots of time together. Yeah.
You open Mother's Day?
Yeah, we'll be open next Sunday and the Sunday after. 3 Sundays. That's all I can do. So I don't get a day off until like Memorial Day weekend. It's coming. We can do this, Caden. Yeah? No, next weekend it'll just be too crazy. And it's supposed to be like 53 and rain. I'm so tired of this. Like we've got to get through this. Here's the thing about mega boom dahlias. A lot of times dahlias that are more miniature, their blossoms are like kind of tucked in the foliage and they don't really stand out. The thing that makes mega blooms, and you can look around here and see everybody's single blossom, the blossom jets right out of the center so you really see the bloom. It really stands out. It's not gonna get much bigger than what you see here. Maybe a couple more inches, but that's it. So in your flower beds, your pots or containers, this series of dahlias really works really, really well. You don't have to stake them. You don't have to, they will actually produce a tuber in there. I would say, I classify them as an annual. Do not plan on this coming back. It probably will come back, and then you'll be excited and happy because you thought it was going to die. I just wouldn't guarantee it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Did those come back?
No. Love them and let them go.
Those
Yes. I tell people that all the time. Love it and let it go. Let it go, let it go. Like, don't try and put it in your garage. Don't try and put it in your greenhouse. Like, I don't do it. You just gotta let it go. I bloomed for like 8 months. I got my $40 worth, you know? Because it's a lot of work and you got bugs and it just never looks as good the next year. It keeps me in business. Like all of those are very good things. I fully realize what I'm telling you is very self-beneficial, but it's just not worth it. They just never look as good.
So those are all annuals?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you sell tubers of dahlias?
Yes, 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 we do. There are other ones that will stay better than this one. And anybody that really loves dahlias and really wants them to come back, you should dig the tubers. Yeah, dig the tubers up, and then then you're pretty good.
Does that have a name?
Mega Boom Fire. Fire. Yes. This one does help if you deadhead it. Yes. It'll bloom all summer long, nonstop, and you can see it's loaded with buds.
These are
All going to be flowers. Yes.
What kind of sun?
Full sun to part sun. The more sun it gets, the more compact it is, and the brighter the color. It does kind of dull the color when you put it in the shade. Other questions about dahlias? They're great. I love to use them for cut flowers, which I'm going to skip the next plant for a second. Grab me that. No, next. Thank you, sir. Okay, if you talk to a florist, this is one of their absolute favorite flowers. Can you walk around? This is called Billy Buttons or Craspedia. If you want something that you can cut and put into your vase and stuff at home, this little yellow ball is amazing. It holds up for like a month or more in a vase. It stays really long time. You can dry them and you can make dried arrangements. And I've grown it in the past, but this one is brand new this year. It's called Golf Beauty. Craspedia is the name of it. And this one is much more compact. It's gonna bloom a lot more and it's much hardier. I've had everybody that I've talked to had very good luck with this coming back each year. And you can use this in all of your cut flower arrangements, just in containers with those little yellow balls coming up. It's a great plant. It's been really easy for us to grow, which is a good sign that when you get home, it's gonna be easy for you to grow too. Not something that I had heard of a lot, but florists come in and it's their favorite plant. Oh my God, do you have this? And they snatch them up just like that. But we have lots. It's called Golf Beauty. Cool new plant this year that we're excited to grow about.
Is it a perennial?
Yes.
You can plant it is.
It is a perennial.
Plant in the ground.
Plant in the ground and it'll come back each year and it blooms all summer. No. It doesn't have seeds that go kind of floating around and stuff. It'll form like a clump. Yeah. Full sun. Yep. A lot of times with growing containers, it's not necessarily the cold because it is up and more exposed. It's when they're full of water and then it freezes hard as a rock, and that's what rots everything. That's what's too hard on them. So I even pull mine in so they dry out a little more and they're not in the rain during the... Yeah, well, there's that part too. But that's what you're watching out for, is that wet and then icicle effect.
Some people are asking what that means.
Craspedia? Yeah, Craspedia is its technical name. Craspedia. Is it a what? No. Is its own thing. Craspedia. It sounds fun. Yeah. Did it say it was a chrysanthemum? Oh, not, yeah. This is my newest, favoriteest shrub this year. Thank you, sir. This is a type of anise. Anise. Just like the black licorice flavor. And if you take these leaves, when you come up afterwards, you can take them and kind of rip them. It smells just like black licorice. The thing that I love about this, I have redwoods in my backyard. And they suck up all the water out of my ground, and I can never grow anything. But more important than that, there is no sun. None whatsoever, and I'm always looking for something bright for a shady area that I can plant and forget about, and very super hardy, don't have to worry about, and that is exactly what, don't be distracted, you can do it. It's a great plant. It has red flowers on it in the summertime. The flowers are they're not very noticeable. It's not like these giant red flowers. They're more kind of on the underside of the leaves. And that's actually the flower pod is what you get with like the spice rack and stuff. The anise that you'll get will be that flower pod. And this, it is in that family. I don't know if they actually use it in the spice, but you can definitely smell it. It's fairly vigorous. I would say this would grow probably 8 to 10 inches a year. And I think it gets to be about 4 or 5 feet tall. So, I mean, it's a substantial little shrub. But for It's called banana appeal. Sorry, I didn't say that. Banana peel, right? I'm going to make sure I spell it right. Oh, and of course I grabbed the one without the tag. It's called,
Tag on the side.
yeah, banana peel. BANANAPPELE. I think it's a great shrub for a shady garden, super hardy, bright, looks good. I mean,
Could you
what's not to love?
like, I sold my house, so I'm living with my daughter right now, but could you put it in a pot? To
Absolutely.
start out and then like later?
Move it over? Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, not a problem.
Question.
Yes,
Can you prune those?
yes, absolutely. Yeah, question was, can you prune them? And most definitely.
And would deer eat those up? Or would the anise?
I don't know, I should give one to Carol and find out. I would think a lot of times deer won't eat spicy things. That's why you won't get rosemary, lavender, stuff like that is generally, I would say that I'm sure they're gonna try it.
Yeah.
Will they nibble it to the ground? Probably not. So with your shrubs and trees, you want to fertilize when it's actively growing. So when you start to see those shoots coming up,
Yes.
that's when I'm getting my fertilizer in there.
Okay.
And as soon as those shoots have come up, it's flowered, it's kind of done, no mas. You're done. Yeah. Just when it's actively growing. A lot of times we'll over fertilize our shrubs and then they'll start pushing growth late in the season, and that's when you get winter damage because it doesn't have a chance to harden off.
Okay.
So always watch your shrubs when they're starting to push that new growth. That's when you want to do it.
Okay.
Next plant, sir. For those who came to Garden Palooza, several of you did. It was crazy. It was busy. It was fun. I know it's okay. The only reason I have this one left is because the hanger broke on it. This is the new salvia for this year. This is the trailing salvia. It's called Hummingbird Falls, and I have multiple flowers for you to see. This one was blooming better. Mine out back, it got cold the last couple weeks. And you can see a little bit of the yellowing, and it's just because it's been so cold. These have been outside. It is kind of rangy. It's not going to give you that tight habit, but the hummingbirds, you should hear them in the greenhouse fighting over these. They just love this flower. It's the perfect flower for their little throats to, tongues to come in and get. And to have this hanging or coming outside of your patios or pots, I just think it's a perfect plant for bringing wildlife into your garden. Full sun to part sun. So I had this only in baskets for Garden Palooza. We sold 300 of them that day. It was crazy. Like, people were fighting over them. I'm like, calm down, I got more. But we sold out. Like, we just have a couple of these baskets left. But now I have a crop of 4-inch and 6-inch available of these. So it'll be a lot easier for you to kind of pot into your own pots. And this, I wanted to show you. Can you lift that up? It's heavier than you, Caden. I got it. So, yes. This is another one of the custom baskets for our custom basket class. And they chose to put it in with the Funhouse Petunia. There's some Lophos coming in here. What a fun plant to put in your mixed baskets. And you can see it just starting to bloom its little heart out. And think of this like in containers and pots. I just think it's going to be a great plant. Yes. Full sun. Yes, as much sun as you can give it. Some plants, when they dry out in full sun, you can water them and they pop right back. Salvia is not one of those plants. If it dries out, it will burn. And for the same, heliotrope is the same way. For years, my mom and me had this battle going back and forth. She kept telling me that heliotrope wouldn't take the full sun. And I told her, Mom, it's not that it won't take the full sun, it's just that you can't forget to water it. Because the moment heliotrope dries out in the sun, it burns. And it's not that the sun burned it, it just got too dry. So salvia does do that too. So what I always tell people, if it dries out and it burns, trim it back. It is always easier for a plant to grow new growth than to fix the old growth. So just cut off that burn. It's gonna flush right back out. It'll be fine, but don't freak out that it got too much sun or whatever. It's just, we're all busy and we just didn't get time to water it.
Can you plant it in the ground?
Yes. Carol asked, can you plant it in the ground? And yes, you can, but it will kind of like range, you know, it's not gonna be your typical upright salvias. Yeah, some people like that. It's each their own. But it's a fun plant and it's brand new. Everybody's been asking me, like, it's not in a lot of nurseries, even didn't have it. And I got an inkling about it a year ago and placed my orders a year ago to get it because it was hard to get. We're all getting distracted now, Caden. These are my new plants. I'm very excited. Thank you. It is one of my favorite things to do. I love it. I love finding new plants. Other questions? Problems? Yes. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to give you a yes but no answer. You're both right. I'm sorry. I'm trying to save my, no, I'm just kidding. So begonias especially, they don't like to dry out. And people, if they dry out, they will burn. Similar to how we were talking about with the hummingbird. And if you got to pinch it off, it takes a while for it to come back. If you, on days right now where it's cold and wet, and we're stuck in the 40s and it's raining every day, like watering it every day is probably a little much. Now, last year I was looking at our thing, we were like every day in the upper 70s and 80s, water it every day. Don't forget, because it will burn. Okay, I told you guys not to tell my mom several things, so shush. She didn't even hear me, darn it. This is my mom. Mom, come say hi. Okay. Oh, well, you guys say hi. We've been talking about you. Yes. Yeah.
This is where Brian hides.
Yes, absolutely I hide.
I call him, she doesn't answer me, and
I see her enough. She'll see me again in a minute. It'll be fine. And Kane's been helping me. When it's warm, water every day. When we're like 55 or below, every other day is probably fine. Petunias, you probably couldn't overwater. You cannot overwater a petunia. And that's why it's so important to have a hanging basket with drainage, so that any excess water is draining off. And it is always good. Like I told you, we fertilize every day. We do fertilize every day, but every once in a while I'll go through with just fresh water and I flush all of that out because the plant doesn't use everything. So it's going to end up with some minerals in there that it doesn't need, and they build up over time. So if you don't really flush that out the bottom, it becomes too toxic. It can get too much salt in there. It can do some other stuff. So it's good to flush them out. Yes, you can drill it. You need a cement bit, and that will usually work pretty good so it doesn't crack. But if you put enough, what I do, I take my plastic pots and I pile them up in the bottom. What are you gonna do with them anyway? It's lightweight. Rocks, it's too heavy to move them around, but I just pile these up in the bottom of the pot so there's a gap between the soil and the bottom of the pot. But I mean, they're not gonna degrade, so yeah, that's what I do. Up front where the store is, if you're looking kind of at the red barn, to the right of it is greenhouse 2, then there's greenhouse 3 and greenhouse 4. In greenhouse 3, there is a table where I put all of the 4-inch plants that are up here. So there's one table with all my selection of new plants. So if there's any of the petunias you want, the Hummingbird Falls is up there, the dahlias are out front, but the begonias are there. All the starts are in greenhouse number 3 on the table right as you come in the door. Yeah. Yeah, they're all up there. That would be great. Thank you guys for coming today. I appreciate it. And to my lovely assistant.